Welcome back to Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast produced by Lakeshore Foundation. I'm your host, Allie B. Gorey. And today we have U.S. Paralympian and survivor castaway, Noelle Lambert, with us. Noelle is from Londonderry, New Hampshire, and she played college lacrosse at UMass Lowell. As a D1 athlete, she was a standout on the team and had a phenomenal freshman season. After her first year, though, she had a moped accident that resulted in an amputation of her left leg above the knee. However, after 18 short months, she returned to the D1 athletic field, scoring a goal her first game back. When she graduated college, though, lacrosse wasn't it for her. She wanted to become a Paralympic athlete, and thus began her Paralympic track career. Noelle went on to compete in both the Tokyo and Paris Paralympics. In Tokyo, she ran the 100 meters, and in Paris, she actually added the long jump to her repertoire. Noelle wasn't just satisfied with her lacrosse career and her track career. She wanted to add another sport to her bag of tricks. So she became a para-snowboarder in March of 2021. That November, she was competing in the Europa Cup in the Netherlands, where she placed fourth. She also was on site covering the Paralympic Games for the USOPC. In 2018, Noelle founded the Born to Run Foundation, which aims to provide children and adult amputees with prosthetics so they can live more fulfilling lives. Noelle recently appeared on season 43 of Survivor, quickly becoming a fan favorite with her story and grit. She went on to finish in the top 8 of the competition. Noelle resides in Manchester, New Hampshire now with her husband Mark and their golden doodle Ollie. They are expecting their first daughter this summer. Noelle, thank you so much for being with us today. Where are you coming to us from?
So honored to be here today. I'm coming to you guys from New Hampshire.
Amazing. So beautiful. So jealous.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty hot today. I don't know if it's hot where you are, but it's literally like 90 degrees.
Oh, it's rough. It's rough. I know. New Hampshire's like pretty in the fall and in the spring, and then it's just hot or cold.
Yeah, it's just like, can we just have like a nice, we hadn't had a nice spring at all. It literally just went from like, all right, you're cold, and now it's like super hot.
Look, but we're here, we're making it, and we're going to jump into your story in a little bit, but I'm really curious, you've had a very busy year. What have you been up to so far in 2026?
Yeah, I am currently almost 8 months pregnant, so that's
so exciting.
Yeah, that's been taking up kind of my entire 2026. Luckily, this is an off year for my competition schedule. We don't have world championships or the games, so this was a perfect opportunity to do it. Just came off of an incredible 2025 year, getting married, having world championships and everything. But yeah, so we have something to look forward to. I'm due in July, so very exciting with this new journey that I'm on. But once I pop the baby out, I got to get right back into training.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible. And what a summer you're in for. Now, this podcast episode,
people literally keep saying, it's like, you're giving birth during the summer. That's great. I'm like, I don't want to be hot and uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, I'm already like feeling it. Just like, let's speed this process up.
Well, by the time this podcast launches, you might already be a mom. So this will launch later this summer or fall. So I'm super thrilled for you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, let's get into it. So I know you're an athlete, but I know that your sports have changed over the years. Where did you get started in sports, and how did that lead to you finding your sports now?
Yeah, so I grew up with 3 older brothers. So from a very early age, just trying to be like them, compete against them, be outside wrestling in the dirt with them. That's really what drew me to fall in love with being an athlete and being competitive. And so I feel like very early on, I was trying to get on my brother's sports teams. I was trying to do whatever I could to be active. And in high school, I was a 3-sport varsity athlete, playing soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. Ended up going to play Division I lacrosse and choosing lacrosse as my path to get to college sports. So it's been an incredible journey. I always say, like, if if for any parent that has kids that are wanting to be an athlete, wanting to do sports, throw them into everything, because the things that I learned from each sport, I could always take something from it. And just being kind of adaptive and competitive. It always kept me busy, and that's what I loved. I never really had downtime. It was always, summers were for soccer and lacrosse, then fall soccer, basketball, lacrosse, and then it was just
Yeah.
kind of everything all at once. So it was awesome, and it kept me very busy as a child.
I love that so much. I come from more of an arts perspective, but very similarly, like was thrown into everything from dance to theater to music. And it was like, just do it all and you will have different respect for all the other things in that vein. Like
Absolutely.
I practice music differently because of my dance practice. So I totally see that. And I love that. Now you went to college for sports and you were playing lacrosse and living that college athlete dream. And then you had an accident. Can you tell me what happened and how your sports journey kind of transitioned?
Yeah, so the summer following my freshman year, I just had a standout rookie season. I was involved in a moped accident that caused me to lose my left leg above the knee. And it was, very early on that I knew that I didn't want to let this accident define the rest of my life, and that I still wanted to be an athlete. And I always credit that to meeting a lot of the Boston Marathon survivors, hearing their stories, everything that they've been through. That really is what snapped me out of any funk of going through a depression, because I was sitting there telling myself, nobody did this to me. I did this to myself. They were the first people to tell me I would be able to still be an athlete, have an active lifestyle. So I remember laying in my hospital bed thinking, I'm going to return playing Division I lacrosse, even though no above the knee amputee has ever done it before. Had absolutely no idea how challenging it was going to be, how tough the road was going to be, but I was determined. And I think it was just the community that I had behind me as well, with my family and friends, but especially my teammates, my coaches. They were incredible with never letting me use my disability as a reason to quit, or never treating me like somebody who was broken. That was always something that really stood out to me. Going through recovery and transitioning back onto the lacrosse field, I just had that incredible support system that I wasn't alone. I could never tell myself, nobody really understands what I'm going through, because I was going through it with them. And just kind of the response that I got from them was the sole reason, and really was the sole reason why I was able to return playing Division I lacrosse. 18 months after my accident, it was my junior season. And I was able to return to the field, score a goal my first game back. I knew I was never going to be that.
Yeah.
I knew I was never going to be that player I was before my accident, being the quarterback of the offense, always having the ball on my stick. That wasn't really what my goal was. My goal was just kind of being a part of the team still, and just not letting this accident dictate the rest of my life. And I just wanted to show the world that, I'm capable of doing this. And if I'm capable of doing it, then anybody is capable of anything. So that's really where that journey took me. And it was incredible. I mean, I returned my senior year as like my accident never even happened. I created a great role for myself and the team, and was just with my teammates every single day. And that was all I could really ask for.
Yeah. And it really, really emphasizes to me how important it is to surround yourself with community. That's something I've been thinking about and talking about a lot lately. Whether it's, community of your teammates, your friends, other disabled people, like we all need that network, and like no one can fully recover from anything by sheer grit and determination alone. You really need that. And, you mentioned the Boston Marathon survivors that you got to meet. Did you meet those folks in your own like recovery process? Did you meet them through getting to know other amputees? Like how did that kind of inspire your journey? Because I am disabled. I have a vision disability. And I think there's a whole new identity piece that gets unlocked when you finally meet someone else who has gone through what you are going through. So I'm curious about that relationship.
Yeah, so my accident was pretty like locally broadcasted on every single news platform. And luckily, like just friend of a friend or people knowing, just the connections, that's really what kind of opened the door. And the whole Boston Marathon community, I mean, they're such a tight-knit group. with helping other amputees. And so when my accident happened, I was in the hospital and they were reaching out, and a couple of them wanting to come and visit me. And if they couldn't visit me, they were reaching out, and when I was having phone calls with them. So that's really where it generated from. And it's so interesting that you say, like, find your community. And I'm 100% with you on that. Like, with any new adventure or journey that I start, it's always so important for me to kind of find either that mentor or somebody that's going through a similar situation. And if you don't have it, in your family members or your friends, it's kind of up to you to find it. And that's where social media can play a beautiful role. In just reaching out with people that are going through similar situations as you. But yeah, that's really where my relationship started with the Boston Marathon survivors. And it was great. I mean, I had 3 of them come to visit me. And I remember, a moment that really stuck out to me was when it was a below the knee amputee and above the knee amputee. They came in, and it was Karen McWaters and Roseanne Sedoya, and they came in, and I remember, like, the above the knee amputee, Roseanne Sedoya, she was like telling me, she's like, yeah, don't listen to whatever Karen is saying, who is a below the knee. She was like, that's a paper cut compared to what we're going through. And it was just funny kind of having that sense of humor, because that's who I was. I always joked around before my accident.
Totally.
And I never wanted that to change. So I really took it upon myself to kind of joke around with myself to kind of help me through my recovery process. Like, it's okay to make fun of yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. And they were just amazing. They were showing me pictures of all the different legs that they had, running blades, waterproof legs. They had pretty legs. And so that was just really, really amazing. And then Heather Abbott, she has a nonprofit organization. Her foundation donated my first waterproof prosthetic to me. So it was just, the community in Boston it was so amazing, and it really helped me in my recovery. And that's really, like I always say, I credit them for never going through a depression or a difficult time, because I knew I had that support. I knew I wasn't alone. And yeah.
That's so important and so encouraging, I think, to folks listening. I'm curious, when you were going through all your rehab and all of your time in the hospital, do you think that being an athlete, in a sense, I can't believe I'm going to say this, gave you a leg up? But, like, seriously though, right? Like, do you feel that you learned lessons in sports that you could apply to things like your therapy, and you're like, I've got the mental game for this because I'm already an athlete?
Yeah, I definitely think being an athlete, at the time, like, losing my leg and at, where I was in my life, it absolutely helped. But what I will say is, just like, if you have a strong work ethic, if you, like, have, you know how to complete a goal, like, it's something that it can be done. But going through the recovery process, just having an incredible physical therapist, having incredible trainer, coaches, kind of going through everything, it definitely did help. But I always say, like, if I lost my leg in high school, if I lost my leg after college, I think it would have been completely different, because, obviously in high school, you still have that community, you still have your teammates, but, like, going into college, like, it would have been a completely different ball game. And then graduating and not being an athlete and then losing my leg, I think that would have been, I don't know if I would have returned to sports. So that's why I am grateful that it happened to me when it did, because I had that community. But also, I was, I always say, I'm always the type of person to say, like, my accident needed to happen to me, because I was just that person that kind of went through the motions a little bit, the whole first 19 years of my life. Every year I was getting lazier with sports. I hated going to practice. I hated putting in any extra work in the weight room. But don't get me wrong, if you put me on the field during a game scenario, I would run through a brick wall for any coach.
Totally.
I was the athlete that coaches loved and hated at the same time, because of the potential that I had and the work ethic that I had during games. But then you threw me into practice and it was like, who is this girl? Like, why isn't she trying? And, in the classroom, I never went above and beyond. I was kind of just doing the bare minimum to get into college. And I always say, like, I went to college to play sports. I didn't go to college to get kind of an academic,
Yeah.
career, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had nothing to be passionate about other than sports. So having my accident happen to me, it really just snapped that out of me, and it made me realize, how important life is, and how you can't take things for granted, and how the best part about, a tough journey is the hard work it took to get there. So
Absolutely.
I always say, like, the back accident is the best thing that's ever happened to me, because it just
Wow.
kind of changed my mindset, and it really just made me appreciate life more. But it also just, I became a better teammate and a better athlete. But most importantly, I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily I can still be an athlete. I didn't have to
Yeah.
retire after graduating, but I found a whole new purpose, and a whole new community that I'm now so grateful to be a part of.
I love that. I love in your story how quickly you were like, okay, this accident happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. But like, you returned to sports pretty much right away. Like, you were like, this is my goal. I mean, it's all you knew as well. You were like,
Mhm.
this is kind of a big piece of my identity. So I got to get back in there.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first returned to sports, and like, especially running and like figuring all that out? What was that process? And like, how did you get through the mental game of that?
It was definitely difficult. The first time I ever put my running blade on, I was harnessed on a treadmill in my physical therapist's office. And I couldn't run for more than 10 seconds at a time, because obviously I was very out of shape. I had taken my whole sophomore season off, and it was just very uncomfortable, and just trying to figure out how the prosthetic blade and prosthetic knee kind of maneuvers. That was really challenging for me, because it was a completely different leg than my everyday walking prosthetic. So in the beginning, I thought playing lacrosse again was going to be impossible, because if I can't even run in a straight line, how am I going to be able to, cut back and forth, backpedal?
Yeah.
Like, I can't really be worrying
Right.
about the lower half of my body when I'm playing lacrosse. I need to be worrying about what's up here, and having my eyes forward. But I just, I had some grace on myself, and I told myself, like, this isn't going to happen overnight. I also have an incredible mother who told me to relax a little bit, and just say, it's so easy to focus on the future and think, oh my God, I want to get this done yesterday. But the most important thing is being able to control the things that you can control in this moment. And so
Totally.
that first summer, I just hired a personal trainer, and just spent the entire 2 or 3 months just getting comfortable with my different legs, before even picking up a lacrosse stick. And I think that just really helped, because I started to become very confident. I started to understand the running blade a little bit more. But that wasn't even the toughest part. The toughest part was obviously returning back to practice, the start of my junior year. And luckily, I had an incredible assistant coach that took the time and the effort to work with me before and after practice every single day. And we would work on footwork and footwork and footwork. And
Yeah.
those were the toughest days, because those are the days that I failed the most. I mean, every single day I was failing. Every single new drill that we would try, I would fall, or something wouldn't feel right. And we would just get up and we would do it again. So that just kind of brushing it off. I always tell people to never be discouraged by failure. Use that as motivation to continue to go and learn from your mistakes, because that's exactly what I was doing. She would videotape me, and if I would mess something up, she would show me, and we would kind of understand it. With my running blade being an above the knee amputee, I can't really backpedal like
Yeah.
an
Yeah. Like you would
able-bodied
think.
person
Yeah. Yeah.
can, because if my knee goes further back than my body, the knee will collapse, and then I'm falling. So it was kind of finding the sweet spot with that. And then I came to find out that I cut better off my prosthetic side, because I could cut off my prosthetic and explode with my real leg. And so just finding different ways, and then finding a position on the field that works for me. Obviously, probably not going to be the best defender. People are going to be a lot quicker than me, and probably not going to be, the greatest attackman with the ball and my stick behind the net, and like trying to quarterback the offense. And so in women's lacrosse, you could be an inside man in 7v7, and you could play the inside game, and you can cut back and forth. You could create space. That was the perfect position for me, just because obviously people can forget about me creating space and making cut throughs. And so I just thought, all right, this is perfect. This is what I'm going to do. But it was definitely difficult. I mean, it didn't come easy. I had moments where I would break down, I would cry in practice. And that's just something that was different for me because I was never that person. I never wanted to let people in. I never wanted people to pity me. So the only person that I showed that to really was my assistant coach.
Yeah.
And just I learned so much from her with the mental aspect of the game. And that's why I'm so grateful because she taught me so many things in my athletic career that I still use today as a professional athlete in a completely different sport. It's just something that you can just take and learn from. But yeah, the mental game was tough because obviously your mind is going a mile a minute. You know what you want to do, but if your body's not cooperating, it's just something that you have to work towards. And it's just really trial and error.
Yeah, and I think that mental strength that you mentioned is something that disabled athletes kind of have on lock that non-disabled people like don't realize. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
your mental like the mental game is the least challenging thing. I'm a runner as well, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this y'all stop complaining. Just here we go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but I love that. I love
like
that.
the mental game with like kind of because we deal with so much where
Every day, yeah.
where a lot of people would think like how does she do that, and it's like we turn that off because like we're just so used to it. But it's so interesting you say that because like for track and field it's such a mental sport.
Yeah.
And so like I mean the long jump and the 100, but like the long jump especially, like it can kind of mess with you. Like if you don't have your rhythm right or something's not working, it's like things that like I've still learning to this day and like it just still maneuvering. But it's crazy that you say that because like all the disabled athletes that I know, it's just like, yeah, we turn that off. Like, yeah, we fall on the ground and like we get back up. It's no problem.
But that's like
Or
every day. You know what I
it's
mean?
every
Like
day.
that's not,
Yeah,
exactly.
because we don't see ourselves as like I mean, like obviously we see ourselves as disabled, but we don't see ourselves as broken. Like we just like
No.
we're gonna wake up every single day and live our lives just like everybody else. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Right. Like I
Yeah.
forget half the time until there's literally like I do fall or I do trip or
Yeah.
I do miss something and I'm like, oh, that thing, that little
Same,
thing.
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's so real. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did we get from college lacrosse to Paralympian? Like give me that, give me that
Yeah.
trajectory.
So returning to play lacrosse again, it got some national attention. It was on like SportsCenter top 10, which was very
No big
cool.
deal.
It was just, it was a cool moment. And then, so I was getting like tons of messages of people congratulating me, but then I received a message from someone in the track and field community asking if I've ever thought about pursuing the sport. And, when I was in the hospital, the Rio 2016 Olympics were going on. And I remember seeing something about the Paralympics. And my doctor, Dr. Crandell at Spalding, he actually told me, he was like, well, you could be a Paralympian now. Like, this is something you could do with your life. He was like, maybe you could throw javelin. He was like trying to relate it to lacrosse. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do javelin. I'm like, that seems really tough. But I was like, well, but maybe I'll find a sport. But obviously lacrosse like took main priority in my head. And it wasn't until that person reached out to me that I was thinking, maybe this is something I could do when I graduate. But I honestly didn't even think about it until literally my last game and waking up the next day and thinking, all right, what's the next thing? Because I didn't want to be a washed up athlete yet. I didn't want to retire. I wanted to kind of take what I've learned because in my eyes, I'd only been running for 2 years. So I just signed myself up for the first track meet that I saw, and I had a few weeks to train for it. And I mean, in my first race, I was able to qualify for the national track and field team, and I beat the reigning national champion because I was competing alongside people with 2 legs the 2 years prior to that. So that was really preparing me. And just being a competitive person, being an athlete, obviously that helped. Did I look pretty doing it? Did I look athletic? Absolutely not, because I had no idea what running form was. So
Right.
had so much to learn, but that's really where the journey started. I found a coach in Boston, commuting every single day to practice. I found a mentor, Famita Ayabeko. She's a below the knee amputee. She was practicing with with me in Boston as well. So she kind of took me as her little sister, introducing me to the sport and kind of everything. So having that community was incredible because she just introduced me to everybody. So that was just amazing and just making me feel so welcome. And then it was just qualifying for teams at that point and just making the national team every single year. And kind of the rest was history. I really fell in love with the new sport, obviously, which is crazy because, if you knew me graduating college, I hated running. I hated everything to do with it. I was not the best runner. Every single time we did a run test, obviously I came in last place, and I had to do 10 burpees. So it was just, to this day, every coach that I've ever had before I started competing in track and field, they still laugh to this day that I am a Paralympian for track and field because it was like pulling teeth with trying to get me to do a sprint.
To run. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Life doesn't slow down. As a mom, a wife, and a U.S. Paralympic gold medalist, I take every advantage I can get. Restorative sleep powers my recovery, sharpens my mind, and gives me the strength to rise to every challenge, on the slopes and at home. When you sleep well, you show up strong, for yourself and the people you love. That's why I choose a Sattva mattress. Sattva, unlock the superpower of restorative sleep.
At Lakeshore Foundation, we believe in a world in which every person has the opportunity to achieve a healthy, active, independent life. For 100 years, we've been impacting lives through inclusive fitness, sports, and recreation. Our mission is to encourage and provide opportunities for people to live a healthy lifestyle through activity, research, and advocacy. Join us. Together, we can make every day a new beginning.
But anyway, back to the Paralympics.
Yeah.
What was it like for you in Tokyo? What was that whole experience like? I can only imagine from what we see on TV, but you got to experience it and be in the middle of like the village and all of that. So what was that like?
Yeah, it was crazy because of COVID, obviously. But going into Tokyo, I kind of had no expectations because of COVID, I had only competed maybe 4 or 5 times before that. So I was still very much considered a rookie. I was just honestly excited to be able to call myself a Paralympian, represent Team USA, have a Team USA uniform, to compete alongside the best in the world. I went in there just being like, you know what, this is awesome experience and I'm gonna enjoy it. It was crazy because I actually got COVID like 3 weeks before leaving.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just it was such an uncertain time of like, do I tell people? Like, how does this work? But then I had all my doctors telling me it's going to be out of your system. So like, you're going to be good to go. So I like take the 10 COVID tests before getting on the plane. All of them are negative. I'm good to go. And then I traveled to Tokyo, and then my teammate Famita Ayambeku, we landed together, and she actually tested positive. And because we were with each other, I had to go into quarantine for like the first week of being there.
No.
So I wasn't even I missed opening ceremonies. Like I wasn't in the village like in the beginning. So kind of that was just like mentally I was just drained from that because I was just like, oh my God, like what, like I can't catch a break. Like I get COVID, I'm in quarantine. But then we were both able to return to the village after a week. Incredible experience. I placed 6th in the world, broke my own American record, but obviously I'm a competitor. So was telling myself, leading up to Paris, I want to be in medal contention. I want to be a different breed of an athlete. I want to actually start taking this a lot more seriously. It wasn't that I wasn't taking it seriously, but I wanted to, I'm a competitor. I want to win. I want to have that gold medal around my neck. So it was just, kind of getting home from Tokyo. That's where I thought my journey was going to lead. But I ended up doing all these other side quests in the next 1 or 2 years after Tokyo, which was, I started snowboarding just for a season, and then I was on Survivor. So it was
which
just
we're gonna get to.
Yeah. So it was incredible, and I would never take any of that back because I had so much fun doing it. It was an off year, so it was just I want to experience. Yeah, I want to experience the world. I want to experience like different adventures. Fell in love with snowboarding, but obviously, snowboarding is a lot more challenging because it's like all the competitions are out in Europe. So I was just like, I don't want to be gone like literally during the holidays. Like I give all those athletes so much credit because they're literally just traveling for like 2 months straight, just going from country to country, which is awesome and amazing. But yeah, I mean, I was
And
definitely missing track.
exhausting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and cold. So I was missing the warmth.
Yeah. So then
But
Paris, right? Tell me what was different. What was
yeah.
like your growth journey from being able to go and you're like your first flight to Tokyo, you're like, I just hope we all have fun and gain some
Yeah.
experience, you know? And then
Yeah.
you're going to Paris, like I'm ready to bust it.
Yeah, well, I mean, doing all these other side quests kind of slowed me down a little bit in the track and field world.
Sure.
Obviously, like my competition was, it was getting a lot more competitive, which is incredible. But my marks for making teams were getting a lot more difficult because usually, like, to make like a world's team or a Paralympic Games team, it's just all about your percentages, like of an A standard. And so A standards are usually third place at a world championships or a game. So, and that's what they average what your A standard is. And so whenever you're trying to make a team, you're trying to get as close to 100% as possible.
Yeah.
And you're not just competing alongside people with your disability in the United States to make a team. You're competing alongside every other woman with a disability. So making teams started becoming a lot more challenging, which is awesome because it means it's more competitive and it means, it's going to be great for the United States. But in 2023, we had world championships in Paris, and when they called the team out, my name wasn't on the list. So it was one of those career defying moments of, you know what, like I need to change this. I need to change everything up and flip everything upside down if I want to qualify for Paris. Because if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm not qualifying for Paris. And that's when I started working with a coach out in California. At this point, I was only doing the 100-meter, and he kept telling me like, why don't you long jump? He was like, come over to me. I'll get you long jumping. I'll get you jumping over 5 meters, which is like something to jump over 5 meters, only 3 above the knee amputee women in the entire world. When I was starting out, I had only accomplished it. So it was something that was really difficult. And in my first season, starting in January of 2024, I needed to jump 5 meters to make the team. That's just something that I needed to do. And this coach had 100% belief in me. So I packed up all my bags and I moved out to California, started training with him, and had great success early on. He taught me how to long jump. I was jumping 5 meters within 5 months.
Wow.
Showed up at trials, punched my ticket to Paris. And then leading up to Paris, I was in medal contention and I was ranked second in the world. So obviously, whole different ball game. Now I have the pressure of now I need to show up and actually compete.
And do the thing, yeah.
And so obviously like very exciting, but it's just like, oh my God, the only thing I care about is making the team. And then once you make the team, it's like, oh my God, now I have to show up and I have to medal. Like, and that's, if I don't medal, it's a failure in my head. Especially just because of the great success I was having all season. And, one of the things that you absolutely do not do when you show up at a Paralympic Games is you change alignment or you change what got you there. But my coach and I were trying to do everything possible to break the world record because I was centimeters off of the world record. And, changing alignment, we were changing alignment all season. So why would it be that different? But we actually kind of went in the opposite direction. I got to a point where I was jumping off a blade that I wasn't comfortable with, and that really mentally took a toll on me. Didn't really know how to deal with it, but ended up placing 4th in the world and centimeters off the podium. And like I definitely viewed myself as a failure in that moment because what I jumped in Paris wasn't even close to what I was jumping all season. I think it would have been an easier pill to swallow if I had, jumped what I was jumping all season and still got 4th. At least, I did the best that I could. But I knew that I left a medal on the table because I made the rookie mistake of changing things. But listen, that's just something that you can learn and you can grow from. I woke up the next day, told myself, you have to be proud of yourself because a year ago, literally a year ago today, you were probably sitting thinking, am I even going to qualify? And to kind of show up and be ranked fourth in the world. I think I placed, sixth or seventh in the 100 meters. So I'm still making finals. I'm still competing in the 100 meter. But of course, like, I just use that as fuel, and I tell myself, well, now I got to use that as drive leading up to LA now. And I don't think I'll ever retire until I can get a medal.
I love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily, I learned a lot from Paris. We had world championships in India in 2025. I was able to win my first international medal, bronze.
Congrats.
Thank you. It was just like kind of a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, all right, I finally got the international medal. Yeah, we can do this. But I was like, okay, perfect time to get pregnant. Let's just do that. Let's throw a wrench in our plans even more. No, I mean, everything's kind of happening the way God intended it to, obviously. And I'm just, I'm having really a lot of fun doing it. Training during this pregnancy has been super fun, challenging, and just a learning experience, obviously. I'm still running. It's crazy. I'm like almost 30 weeks pregnant. I'm still running.
That gives me hope for the future. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, I'm still showing up to the track. I'm doing, sled pulls, hurdles, ladders, just kind of just mentally, like, to keep myself sane, but just to get my body moving. I mean, running is really the only time where I don't really feel pregnant. Like, I'm not, like, obviously in the beginning it's tough getting warmed up, but once my body's warm and like running, obviously today it was very difficult because it's 90 degrees out. But just enjoying the process and everything, and kind of taking my failures and being able to learn and grow from them. Not viewing, me not medaling as a failure, viewing it as, a reason to not give up and not quit is extremely important to me.
That's so, so important. Now, I'm going to walk it back a little bit to one of your so-called side quests in between Paralympic Games.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got to Survivor, because that is so cool, and we just want to hear all about it.
Yeah, it honestly kind of fell into my lap, which was crazy because, my mother is the biggest diehard Survivor fan there is. Never miss a season, never miss an episode. And when I was in Tokyo, there was the head casting director for the show literally DM'd, I think there were like 3 of us that he DM'd, and I was the only one that took it seriously because of my mother, of course. I think I was keeping up with the seasons. I know they took a year off, like, because of COVID and everything, but I knew what was going on. I was watching the seasons. But I never thought that I could ever go on that show because I'd never seen an above the knee amputee go on it before. There had been 2 below the knee amputees on, but me being an above the knee amputee, completely different ball game. For me to be able to do the show, I need to have a waterproof leg. I need to have a running blade. I need to be able to interchange them. And I literally responded back to this casting director just saying, like, you realize I'm an amputee, right? And he was like, listen, like, that's what we love about you and your story, but like, we want you to apply. Just because I'm reaching out to you doesn't automatically mean you're on the show. Like, you still have to earn it. And so going through the whole casting process was crazy. Obviously, I didn't think I was actually going to get casted, but I found out a month before that I was casted for season 43. And I was a nervous wreck. I literally couldn't sleep. How I chose to prepare for the show is I started kind of starving myself a little bit. I, scaled it back to get my body prepared. I was working with my prosthetic guy every single day, trying to figure out how we're going to maneuver, losing weight, because when I lose weight, my leg loses weight.
Yep.
Keeping my prosthetic leg suctioned onto my body while doing all these challenges. It was very challenging to figure out. But luckily production was incredible. They allowed me to have things with me that I could have that's obviously not going to give me, a leg up in the competition, not going to give me an advantage. And, going out there, I told myself, go out there, have fun, no matter what. Like, you're doing this because who is going to show that positive representation for the amputee community, for the disabled community. This is my chance to kind of show the world what we're capable of. And, I told myself if I could just help that one person going through a difficult time, this whole experience would be worth it. Totally. ended up being one of the greatest adventures of my life. Got to meet so many incredible people. I made it pretty far in the game, which shocked me. I honestly thought I was going to be first or second boot, but luckily, like the competitor in me, and I was able to kind of relate and just kind of bond with people and just be likable. I told myself, don't be Noelle out there. Like when you're hungry and you're tired, like don't be bitter, don't be complaining, don't be a negative Nancy. Literally, if you feel any of those coming on, just be silent. And it was crazy because people literally thought that I was a quiet person when I was out there. I mean,
You were like, oh, I'm holding so much back right now.
I literally, because I told myself, you know what? Obviously, like you're gonna watch this back too, and like you don't want to be ashamed of something you said or something you did just because you're hungry and you're tired.
Good
like
for
you're
you.
representing something bigger. And I just obviously everyone gets annoyed with each other. I mean, imagine literally living with your college roommate for however many days, not eating, not sleeping, being with each other every second of every day with zero electronics, literally nothing to do. It's like you have to get to know these people. So it was just, that's where I really grew as a person as well, because like, before the experience, I had so many. Obviously, I have a support system. I have a community. I have outlets that I could reach out to. Going out and doing that show, like you turn your phone in, you have absolutely zero connection with the outside world. And so this was my chance to kind of be like, all right, you're completely alone. Can you do this? But it was crazy because I just created that whole new community with my castmates, the people that I was competing against for $1 million. But, I loved everybody out there. And when I got voted off, like, I was just like, you know what? Like, I did not expect to get to the end whatsoever. And I'm just grateful for this experience. And I was just grateful to make the jury. That was like my mother's one request. She was like, I don't care if you win. I just want you to make the jury. She was like, I kind of want you to make the jury because like when you're dirty and you're tired and you look gross, like you go to tribal council the next night after you get voted off and you're all glammed up. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, that's exactly what you want to see.
That is such a mom thing to say. Like,
yeah,
don't stay on there. Like, have a chance to look pretty. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, and my grandma was like, you're going on that show? Why? She was like, can you wear lipstick? I'm like, no, Grandma, you can't. I'm like, you don't even get a toothbrush or toilet.
Yeah, it's bleak. It is bleak.
Yeah. But I will say, like, just your body, like, kind of goes through a detox. So, like, you're glowing when you're out there. Like, you definitely have that, that survivor glow that people talk about. You're tan. Like, it was, you never look better. Like, you're starving yourself. So, it's
oh, my
crazy.
God. That's wild. Do you have any moments with your castmates or, like, one specific moment on the show that, like, really stood out to you as either, like, something that feel like tested you in a way that like bettered you, or just a hilarious moment, like any specifics that you just
I got two.
Keep with
All
you.
right, I got two.
Okay.
So we'll go with the first one. Like I had this, it was literally the reason, or the same episode I got voted off, that I think it was like part of the reason why I got voted off, because I was starting to gain momentum, I was starting to make some game moves, but we had this reward challenge. It was like the biggest reward of the season. We get family loved one letters. We were each competing individually, and I remember it was like an obstacle course, and there was this balance beam that was like a zigzag up and down balance beam, and I remember seeing it, and I was like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm an amputee. How am I going to be able to do this? And like when the challenge started, everyone's blowing past it. I am stuck on this balance beam for like 30 minutes. And people are literally on the last stage of the obstacle where they have to literally throw a beanbag on this like 15, 20-foot platform and land it. It was a very small platform. Nobody could do it. And so obviously it was giving me time. And it's just like a really vulnerable moment that you see, cause like, obviously like I'm contemplating quitting, but I never give up. I hear my castmates cheering me on. I was able to get through the balance beam. Then I actually ended up winning the challenge, and like having a comeback win. And then literally the same episode, like I got voted off. It was so funny. Like that watch party was hilarious. It was like the day before Thanksgiving, and like I had a huge watch party, and everyone was like, she's not gonna have a watch party if she's getting voted off. So
but
like
you totally did.
Yeah, everyone's crying of happiness, and then like 10, 15 minutes later, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, why did you get voted off? But yeah, I mean, I would vote myself off too if after I saw that. But another funny moment, there were a couple of my castmates, they were like arguing just literally going into tribal council, and I'm literally so hungry where I am chewing on an unripe papaya, like a papaya that is nowhere close to being ready to eat, but I was just so hungry, and I was literally eating a papaya and then like offering it. I'm like, anybody want a papaya, to try to like, you know, break the tension and like ease the mood a little bit. And so that was just a really funny moment.
I love
and I think
that.
every single food challenge that I won or that I was a part of, they always just showed a montage of just me eating because I was stuffing my face. So I always have that to go back on and kind of see. But
athletes gotta fuel, okay? Like, give me a break.
I mean, literally that loved one letter thing it was like a pizza party, and I brought 3 guys with me, and I was out eating them. Literally, like, I was on my 10th pizza, and they're on like their first or second, and I'm like, well, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you guys not
hurry
eating?
up.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I grew up with 3 older brothers, so this is I
can put it
understand
away.
this.
Yes, that's amazing. Oh, that's so good. Well, Survivor aside, you've gone on to do some really, really important work with your Born to Run Foundation. And I want to hear all about that because I'm so about making sure that like the next generation gets to have the access that we get, that you get,
Absolutely.
Right? So what inspired you to get that started and where is it today?
Yeah, so after playing lacrosse again and kind of going through that whole journey, at that point I think I had received 3 different specialized prosthetics from 3 different incredible foundations. So seeing the work that those foundations do, that's really what inspired me, and it made me realize this is something I needed to do with my life. I needed to give back all the support and helping hands that I received, and, you know, portray that message out to the world that if I can do this, then 100% so can anybody else. And I have an incredible family that helped me start the Born to Run Foundation. You know, we had a mission early on that we wanted to help younger adults and children, but we have now since grown that to, you know, opening up to help everybody and anybody we can. I believe we've helped 40 to 41 different amputees with gifting them with different specialized prosthetics so that they can live the life that they want. And it's amazing. Every single time we do a donation, every single time I get to meet one of the new recipients, it's incredible to me because I'm always left inspired. Because seeing the things that they accomplish with these specialized devices is just so amazing. And it's just a full circle moment for me because I was literally just sitting in the prosthetic office waiting for a running blade so that I could play lacrosse again. So to be able to have a small part and, you know, these people's journeys is something I'm so grateful for. And that's why I encourage anybody, you know, if you're in a good place in your life and you always want to figure out a way to give back, it's like never be afraid to volunteer, to start your own nonprofit, or to just literally help somebody in need. It's so rewarding, it's so incredible, and it's just something that is, you know, it's addicting. Like every time we give something to somebody, I always want to look towards the future, and I want to create a community within our small organization that if people going through similar situations, have the same disability, or lost a limb because of the same disease, they can relate to each other, and we can kind of introduce them. It's always fun connecting with other nonprofit organizations and kind of seeing the work that those foundations do as well. So it's just something that I'm very grateful for. But I can't take the credit for it. I mean, I have such an incredible family. My mother is the one who literally runs the entire thing, and she's the boss.
That's so epic. That's awesome.
And so it's fun because, you know, we do these fun charity events with golf tournaments or like just fundraising parties. And so seeing the community that comes together is really special. We get bibs for the Boston Marathon. So kind of...
That's awesome.
And that was challenging to get into that because it's very competitive. So once we were able to start getting bibs, it's been amazing because you know what, like we get to help people that aren't disabled, you know, people that want to run for our cause, but like their life dream is to run the Boston Marathon. Their life dream is to run a marathon. It's just being able to help people do that while they help us raise money for our organization is just something that's so cool to be a part of. And this is our 3rd year that we just completed, and it's been so much fun so far.
That is epic. As a charity runner for another disability organization, I'm about to do the New York Marathon, but what's so cool about it is like, yeah, I'm stoked, but it's like, it's so cool because you already care like about this organization or you wouldn't there's a lot of ways you can get involved, right? So folks that I'm sure are running for your foundation have some connection or some, desire based on a life experience, a family member, a friend, and it's just continuing to further your work in probably other parts of the country and the world. I mean, it's so exciting that y'all do that, and to have it at the Boston Marathon where you were able to, really be inspired and encouraged. Yeah, I love that. That's pretty epic in an awesome
amazing.
way.
Well, so how is training going for you with the marathon? I mean, because it's in November,
I love
right?
it. Yeah, it's in November. I've done 3 halves this spring. I'm feeling good. I'm just my goal is to really keep that strength, keep that the gym time up, not just the running time, but the lifting and all that, because that's going to keep me from injury. So I'm just trying to value every workout, even though I really just like the running part. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, raising money for a charity. It's kind of distracts you, because that can be a whole different ball game, is raising funds for a charity. And we always, every time one of my good friends wants to run it for us, I'm all right, but listen, it's not easy. You have
to bust it.
You're literally training for a marathon, which is very difficult in itself, but then you have to worry about raising funds for the charity, and it can be very stressful, because the first year we did it, I honestly, we wanted to pick people that we knew because it was our first year doing it. We didn't want to look like rookies. So my husband kind of thought, he was a college athlete. He played lacrosse himself. He was never a runner, but I was like, you're going to do this because it's going to be awesome. My husband's going to run it for us. And I was so stressed out with the fundraising. I'm like, all right, we need a fundraise. You need to hit your goal. And it's just
you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing to further the cause this week?
Yeah. I'm like, so, what are we going to do for a fundraiser? I mean, he literally did all the squares and stuff and things that. He had fun with that, but it was such a cool experience. But like you said, everybody that we usually pick for our team, we want them to have a connection or be very passionate about why they want to run for our cause. And so it's amazing, actually, this, the recent Boston Marathon that we literally just had, a month ago. One of our recipients that we just donated a running blade to, her name's Hannah. She literally lost her leg a year and a half ago. And she literally completed the Boston Marathon in a qualifying time so that she qualified for next year's Boston Marathon as well. But it was awesome. It was so incredible to see.
So cool.
I'm like, how are you running a marathon literally a year after losing your leg? It's all right, Noelle, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know if I can do it.
Wow. You got this. You got this. Have your baby, and then we'll circle back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe after LA. I got to do it eventually, because I can't
It's on the timeline. It's on the timeline.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You can give me some pointers after.
Yeah. We'll talk. But man, this has been so awesome, and I've just loved getting to chat with you, and I'm super stoked for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, for allowing me to share my story and kind of spreading the message of the disabled community and what we're passionate about. I mean, it's amazing.
And how can folks find you? How can our people get connected to you?
Yeah, you can follow me on any of my social media platforms at Noelle Lambert. Burn now, because I recently got married. And that's BEIRNE. It's not BURN. A lot of people think it's it's that. But if you want to follow the Born to Run Foundation, you can follow any of our social media platforms at the Born to Run Foundation. If you want to check out our website to see all of our recipients and our beneficiaries, you could literally just go on our website, www.theborntorunfoundation.org, and I encourage everyone to do that. Read up on some of the incredible people that we've donated to. Every single person has such an incredible story and journey, and it's so amazing getting to kind of read it and see the excitement that they have. Usually when we donate to kids, we make the promise of, if once they grow out of it, we're going to continue to help them throughout their entire lives. So we have some people that we've donated literally 3 different blades to. It's amazing to see. But yeah, I really, really appreciate kind of being on here and you giving me the platform to share my story.
Noelle, it's been a dream and an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast produced by Lakeshore Foundation. We hope you've enjoyed this episode today, and we really hope that you'll subscribe to the podcast, and maybe send this episode to a friend in a text or email. We also hope that you'll join us on Instagram and follow us at Nothing Without Us Pod. There you can find clips from previous episodes and hear about what's coming up next. We are so excited to be with you, and we hope you'll tune in next week. Bye.
I'm John Kemp, President and CEO of Lakeshore Foundation, and I thank you for joining us for this episode of Nothing Without Us. The conversations on this podcast are a good reminder that progress happens when people with disabilities are not just included, but are leading the conversation. You may have heard Allie ask our guests how they began to be an advocate for themselves, and that is always an important part of the story. Advocacy creates opportunity. Advocacy changes perceptions, and advocacy helps build communities in which everyone has the chance to live healthy, active, and independent lives. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and share it with others. Your support helps us amplify these important voices and reach even more people. You can also support the work of Lakeshore Foundation by visiting lakeshore.org. There you'll learn more about our mission and the many programs designed to create opportunities for people with physical disabilities and chronic health conditions to thrive through sport, recreation, research, and advocacy. Thank you for being part of the Nothing Without Us community.
Nothing Without Us, a disability advocacy podcast, is produced by Lakeshore Foundation, Allie B. Gorey, Terry Scrimshire, and me, Patrick Tomley. For more information, visit lakeshore.org.